What up, guys? Kevin here, and I did it. I did it. I beat what I think is probably the longest Tales of game. Holy shit. Now, I did some of the side stuff, but yeah, 70 hours it took me to beat Tales of Symphonia. And I think that does it for all the modern Tales of games or games that are brought forward through a remaster like this that I can play on modern consoles. That's like 5. So Tales of Symphonia just beat Tales of Vesperia, Berseria, Zestiria, and Arise. Yeah, that's 5. And so what do I think of Tales of Symphonia? Does it belong with all the others? Because I love all the others. All the others, I mean, 10 out of 10. Maybe some are not 10 out of 10. But, I mean, they all have issues here and there. But Symphonia absolutely does belong in the mix. It's the one that people love. It's the one that I want to say kicked it off. There were some other Tales of games before it. But, yeah, I could see why. It took a while for me to see why this one was so loved. But this is the first Tales of game that I played that just got better and better as it went along. It started at maybe like a 7 for me and ended at a 9. A little bit of a spoiler of my score. But yeah, Tales of Symphonia. Let's start off with the bad. Well, the bad, I guess, let's get the Switch out of the way. I guess the version on the Switch sucks, which that breaks my heart because Tales of Vesperia I played on the Switch and absolutely loved it. Now, maybe they've done an update. I know they've done an update. Hopefully that fixed it. But I did play this on PS5 or the PS4 version through backwards compatibility. And my God, this game looks so crisp and clear and beautiful. Loved it. Loved it. Again, 2004 game. But the PS4 version seems to be fine. I don't hear any issues about it. PS4 is a way to go, especially on a PS5, especially on an OLED. Makes those colors pop. But yeah, the Switch version's a negative. It is a 2004 game. I think 2004. It's definitely dated. The combat took a little while to get going for me. The chibi looking characters, I don't like that art style. I just don't. I really don't. That's probably the biggest negative for me is just the character art style. Sometimes I just feel like, how old am I? 36. I'm playing a game that looks like this. But everything else is beautiful. Let's be clear about that. And the characters themselves, I didn't really grow attached to them until later on in the game, until a certain person entered the game. That person, Zelos. Zelos was like the first person where I was like, oh, this is what I'm needing here. I needed someone like Zelos who is just, he's just a douche. He's a fun douche. He's the, well, I don't want to spoil who he is, but he plays a very important role. And he's kind of the opposite of the other character in your group who plays a very important role. And it was just a breath of fresh air. Like, he took the game from like maybe an 8 to 8.5 for me to a 9. And I love Sheena. Sheena is my bae. I don't have a thing for blondes, especially Colette, especially when I look at a chibi version of Colette the whole game and I go, ooh. Sheena is I mean, look at her. She got her boobies out. But yeah, this game, I'm all over the place. Maybe let's get to some positives. The story, the story's not positive. It's kind of like Vesperia to me, where I just didn't care too much about the story. It's just the journey along the way. But there's specific story beats. You find out who people are, who people, it does the Tales of thing, or the Trails of thing, where good people can be bad people can be good, and they can go back and forth. Had a lot of cool moments like that I really appreciated, and a lot in the second half, which I would say the second half of this game, excellent. The first half was a little bit of a drag. The locations, this is a very beautiful game. And today when I was playing, I'm like, man, like every dungeon felt unique and different. And I feel like the later Tales of games have just become hallway simulators. I think like Tales of Berseria, when I went back to replay some of it, I'm like, man, these dungeons are just bland and the same hallway over and over. And I'm playing the 2004 Tales of game that is so damn epic and everything looks so handcrafted. I don't know, maybe if that was Nintendo money or what. But I was very impressed with all the locations. Um, but speaking of locations, Temple of Darkness and the Force of Ymir or whatever, those two can go eat my ass. Like a very puzzly dungeon type game, and I'm not a big fan of that. Some of it ranged from okay, that was okay to I hate this. Yeah, Temple of Darkness, and I think the Ymir Force, I just absolutely hated, and may have thought at once or twice like maybe there's other games to play right now, but I knew I'd get through it. And there's a lot. There's so much. The game just doesn't quit. It's just one after another. I'm like, this game must have taken like 20 years to make with how long it is, how many dungeons, and there's two worlds. So you beat one world, or you don't really beat one world, but you go through one world and you go, all right, we're getting to the end of the game. And they're like, oh no, there's this other world that you got to go explore with its own locations, just as many locations, and even has its own like music. I loved how the music changed. Excellent, excellent. Got like these elves or these half elves, a lot of discrimination, a lot of the same themes throughout the game. I mean, the two worlds and everything. It seems like every game is a callback to Tales of Symphonia. It's like, okay, now that I played it, I go, oh, okay. Yeah, I see a lot of that. The mini games, oh, there's some good mini games and some mini games that suck, like watching foot races and seeing who's in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. That mini game absolutely sucks, but there's so many of them. And again, it's what makes the game complete. You're doing something super serial and pulling out your heartstrings, and then the next minute you're taking orders at a restaurant and getting a new title. And my God, do I love the titles. And yes, I did become a gigolo, or Zelos here did. And it's just so fun. It's like collecting Pokemon to me. A title. I love like when you're at the formal. My favorite one is where you're at a formal dinner and you're talking to everybody. You could talk to like three of your party members. And it's like, oh, Genus called me this name. And that becomes that person's title. Like Genus was making fun of them. Genus might be my second favorite character. Just so sweet and charming, but also gives backhanded compliments. I think the one I'm using for my thumbnail is like, wow, Lloyd, you actually said something smart, something along those lines. And then there's one part of the game where he actually calls Lloyd a genius. Like, no, that was actually a genius thing you said. And that's why I love this cast. There's a lot of ball breaking. There's a lot of shit talking between each other. Absolutely amazing. Combat wise, yeah, when I put Rain in my main party and I got the accessory that halves her TP usage, and then another accessory that automatically replenishes TP, it was easy mode from there, especially when she used like rejuvenation and like the whole battlefield just refilled, like every player just refilled their HP, just easy mode. But it made it a lot of fun getting new skills. And Sheena, she didn't do it a lot, but when she pulled out a summon, it was epic. Like when it went to the summon cutscene during battle, there was one moment we're in a boss and we were getting our ass kicked, and Sheena was like, I had enough of this, and summoned the water one or something, and just did a super move, knocked the boss back, and I was able to wail away for the last few thousand HP and took it out. It was an epic moment. The bosses, there's a ton of bosses. There's so much because there's a lot of dungeons. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this game. The game is just really, 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 really good. Like it went from this is probably like my least favorite Tales of game, still good, but my least favorite to yeah, it's up there. It's up there. Yeah, the only thing really holding it back for me is just how dated it looks and the chibi looking characters. I just don't like. But I think there's JRPGs that you have to play, that you just have to play. Like if you love JRPGs and you haven't played, like a Final Fantasy VII, what else? I think it's just Final Fantasy VII. I would say the Trails of games, those are getting up there as, hey, these are like must play. Like if you say you love JRPGs and you haven't played the Trails of games, or like a Persona 4 or 5, I would put Persona 4 up there, but I'm sure a lot of people put Persona 5 as just mandatory homework. Tales of Symphonia is definitely mandatory homework. Absolutely. If you say you love JRPGs and now you have no excuse because this game is on modern consoles, I'd just be like, you love JRPGs? So what do you think of Tales of Symphonia? Oh, I haven't played it. I'm like, you don't love JRPGs? Go away. Go beat that game and then come back and say you love JRPGs. Not to gatekeep, but I just don't see how. I just don't see how you can love JRPGs and not play and appreciate this. You may not like it, but again, this game came out in 2004. I'm trying to think what came out around that time. I think maybe Final Fantasy X. That is definitely, I would even call that mandatory JRPG homework. But yeah, this was about the time where JRPGs kind of took a break, right? I mean, they still came out, but that was during a time period where, yeah, it wasn't looking too good for JRPGs. And the Tales of games, they kept delivering. I know Tales of Abyss, I think, came out after this. I really want to play Tales of Abyss. Vesperia and the Xillia games. The Tales of games have just been chugging along, just been doing great. And Tales of Arise have sold, I think, the most copies. Symphonia has had to sell more by now, right? But like right away, I think Tales of Arise sold more. But there you have it. Tales of Symphonia, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Just a complete epic game. It's a 70-hour game. If you're buying and playing this game, it's 70 hours. It just is. I was thinking like, this is an older game. It'd be like, what, 30 hours, maybe 40 max. It just kept going. It kept going. It just didn't quit. And I got to say, when most games do that, I resent it as hell. I probably dropped down the score. This one, the game only got better as it went on. But there you have it. 9 out of 10 for Tales of Symphonia. Can't wait to see what they bring out next. I know they're doing Before the Dawn, which definitely going to play that. But after that, hopefully the Xillia games, hopefully Abyss. But most importantly, give us a new one for sure. All right, I got to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Later.